Are we live here? We're doing this with no music?
The stream is live.
Let's go.
All right, everybody. Welcome to today's show. It's not called 100 Proof. It's called something different, something about markets, art markets weekly. And we are here to talk about everything going on in the digital art market this past week. We have an incredible crew of characters, starting with the regulars, Eli Scheinman, who is the director of art at Proof. Eli, what's going on, man?
I'm doing well. This is fun. We've got a good crew. We're doing it live. We're on X. Are we on YouTube as well? This is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, a lot, and I'm excited to kind of get the lowdown from you, but a lot going on in your world, from notes from a neutron star to the 5 art drops we recently announced and more. So congrats on all that success. We got akaStevey, Amanda, the Tsar, the president, the director of Discord, of culture and community. akaStevey, what's going on?
Discord, culture, and community. Let's go. How's it going? I'm excited. We're gonna have a lot of fun here. We're all remote, so it should be a little bit of a shit show, but I think it's good. I think it's gonna be great. I'm so excited to be chatting with Roger today.
And that brings us to our special guest, Roger Dickerman, the founder of Artifacts, and recently just putting out tweets that are going viral every single day. Really, I think kind of like the leader in art space reporting, certainly over the past few months. Roger, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? Sam, much respect. From you call me a leader of art reports, I call you a leader of stats across the entire space. So it's a joy, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But really excited to get your view. The basic format for what we're going to do here is I'm going to give my report. You know, I put together 15 slides, just give the week in art. And then we're going to go to the crew we have here to talk about a few topics that are pertinent right now. If you're in the YouTube, any questions you have, any comments you have, akaStevey will be there, kind of bringing up whatever you say. So very excited to talk about that. But
we're starting sorry, I want to cut you off. We're working on a new platform, which is going to be kind of fun. And I'm looking at all the comments right now. We'll be able to kind of pull them up on stage. Mao, you want to try to do that? Why don't you highlight Josh's question about when is CT going to speak on the live stream? And then we'll highlight that. And so we can see the little nice.
Cool.
I love that. So
when CT going to speak?
When CT don't speak on live stream, yes, and I'll be forced to put the right inflections on the things that you're saying. So I'm gonna have to do that. So this could be a fun one. If you guys have questions, comments, all that stuff, throw it up in the chat, and we'll pull it up for everyone else to see. Should be fun.
Cool. But first, let's do the quick market overview. You know, this is kind of a version of the daily show that I did for a long time, and I still do Monday and Wednesday in the Proof Discord. So we drop it on Monday and Wednesday in the Discord. And on Friday, we make it public via the 100 Proof show or the digital art market report show, whatever it is for that week. But let's go with it. Just giving you a quick overview. You know, I always like to start with volumes, and you can hardly tell from this chart, but the past 4 weeks, we've had 4 consecutive weeks of volumes going higher. As anyone who watches my show knows, I don't care about volumes that much, because the majority of volume in ETH NFTs is on Blur, and the majority of volume on Blur is people selling into bids. So volume sometimes is correlated with the market going down, but we still have seen 4 up weeks in a row. Prices, of course, I find more important, and this is in ETH, and PFPs have been going up. So that is nice to see. That trend has continued over the past week. And this is in ETH terms. Obviously, we've been even stronger in US dollar terms. Now, one thing, you know, this is an art show, but I think right now I do have to mention meme coin. Meme coin dropped this morning, has a $1.7 billion fully diluted valuation. Obviously, that's very different from a market cap based on what's liquid and trading, but still really kind of incredible result from meme land there. If you look at a bunch of tokens in the NFT ecosystem, meme coin, ApeCoin, Blur, Pepe. I put milk there. Milk from Cool Cats is down to 250,000. But if you look at meme, Ape, Blur, Pepe, you can see that the meme coin right now on a fully diluted basis is higher than all of them. But we have seen decent rallies in Ape, Blur, and Pepe as well over the past week or two. Despite all the strength we've seen, Art Blocks kind of continues to grind a little bit lower. There's just not a lot of volume in Art Blocks. You know, October was the first month ever where there was only one Fidenza sale. The Chromie Squiggle floor has been kind of grinding a little bit lower. There hasn't been a ton of action in ringers and gazers, but I'll show you a couple trades that did happen. Actually, here we are right now. In terms of big art sales, this one on the top right was the top art block sale. It was a ringers, which sold for 50 WETH. I think that yellow background and the red peg really made it kind of a special NFT for ringers. There was a Skulls of Lucy, which sold for 75 ETH. This is down a little bit from the 90 ETH sale, which was the last sale in August, but still, I think it's the highest sale that's happened in US dollars for Skulls of Lucy. This piece on the lower left is a Memories of Chilin. I believe it's called The Whisper, just a completely unique output from Memories of Chilin. I wasn't even familiar with it until it traded, but that one traded at 13 ETH, so about 3 times the floor there. And then I put this one on the lower right from the artist So Complexed, 6.5 ETH, just kind of fun escapism illustration, which So Complex does all the time, and very cool stuff there. In terms of other big sales, Yatreda, who we've talked about a lot on the show, has been one of the most prolific artists of the past month or two, but she had this sale, The End of Innocence. It was an auction that they did with Fellowship, which went for 22 ETH. She's also selling 12 pieces for 10 ETH each as part of the sale, just 10 ETH. You can come and get it. So far, 3 have sold. I show 2 here. So there are 9 that are still for sale. Here's an image with all 12 of those pieces. Again, 3 have sold so far, 9 are still for sale. And she also had a sale on secondary for 11.9 ETH. So when I think of kind of one sales, it was pretty much the week of Yatreda, with a lot of action from her work. Huge theme, obviously, Snowpepens. We talked about this in brief last week, but it launched off to a really strong start. The biggest sale, I believe this was the biggest sale. Upper left, you had a fuzzy. This is a 1 of 4. This one on the upper right is a full spectrum, which went for 7.7 ETH. A slinky, which is, I believe, a 1 of 10 for 7 ETH. And then the ribs are 1 of 20, and that was for 5.4 ETH. I say 1 of 20 because there are 20 ribs, but they all look a little bit different. Now, if you look at Snowpepens in general, all the different editions that are out there, you can see that the Snowfro is in the bottom left as the 3rd most expensive type of art that has come to Snowpepens. The top is the first one at a 19 ETH floor. The second is series number 4 at 6.7. Here you see Snowpepens at 4.2, and then the Pudgy Penguins at 2.5 ETH. All very cool stuff. And then lastly, just a couple other things I want to flag. Algo Bro was a drop by Snowfro. 42 of them released, 2 ETH each was the mint. And the sales have kind of been in that 7 to 9 ETH range. The floor right now is 10 ETH. So kind of however you look at this is something like a 400 ETH value if you look at the 42 times the price that they've been selling at. So pretty incredible result for XCOPY. Also dropped Remnants, and this dropped today as part of the super rare Genesis pass. And you can kind of see here the floor is at 8 ETH. I believe the best bid right now is at 6 ETH. So kind of in that 6 to 8 ETH range. All of them a little bit unique. Very cool stuff from XCOPY. And then lastly, and I'm going to ask Roger to talk about this in a little bit. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. But Matt Kane really kind of pushing forward with the conceptual performance art journey that he's taking all his holders on from contractual obligations, and created these 3 new pieces, past, present, and future. And in order to get one, you had to donate your contractual obligations to the Museum of Crypto Art. And that's a pretty incredible donation, because the floor price on this NFT is 5.5 ETH right now. So really interesting stuff there from Matt Kane. And that's all I got. That is a quick 1-week wrap up. Obviously, so much more going on in the world of NFTs with the SBF trial and with Ape Fest going on. But we want to focus on digital art because that's what we're here to do. So yeah, a lot going on, guys.
That was a lot, Sam. You just dropped. It's actually been a really busy week. There's a couple of things I want to dig into. One, starting maybe with Yatreda, just briefly, Roger, I see you've got the Ethiopia book from Joey L in the back.
Good eye, Eli. Good eye.
Yeah, I have one as well. Joey's the man. And I'd be curious. I know you've been tracking Yatreda and this sale very closely. What's your takeaway there?
I think it's an interesting approach. I think it makes sense to me from a long-term perspective. I think it's a very confident and convicted approach. I think Yatreda has earned that. Releasing 12 pieces in this market, 10 ETH each, with 1 extra at a 20 ETH reserve, the quote-unquote altar piece. It's aggressive, but hey, again, I think they've earned that. I think these pieces do well over the long term. If you think about the effort that went into this body of work, doesn't seem so crazy from an overall market cap perspective of this project.
Can you give a little color on the effort that went into it, and just kind of for people who don't know what the backstory is on all that went into this art that just got released?
Yeah, so this is a group of Ethiopian artists. They started in their front yard. That's the famous quote. And it kind of went on from there. It's always shot on site. So there's a lot of travel involved. There's a large group involved. They make everything by hand. I mean, I would highly encourage anyone to visit the fellowship site, the Yatreda X account. They do a fabulous job of putting it all out there. So there's a lot of videos about constructing the serpent, and all the rhinos are real and not AI. I thought that was a fun process shot video. It's really well worth it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I always associate Joey and Yatreda kind of as like a couple, but it sounds like there's a whole lot more behind kind of the team that is putting this art together.
For sure.
Yeah, actually, shout out to Monty, who's in the audience. We love you, Monty Medici. Mao, can you bring up that thing that says, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Technically, Yatreda is a they, as they are an artist collective led by Kia.
Yeah, and Kia.
Perfect.
Kia and Yatreda were in Grail's season 3, contributed a beautiful piece to that collection as well. And I've gotten to know Kia and Joey quite well over the last year or so. They're both fantastic humans, as well as artists independently. Sam, there was one other thing that you mentioned, which was Snowpepens, that I think is, I mean, it's interesting for a bunch of reasons, but you texted me immediately following that release and you said, hey, I kind of want to buy one. You never say that. So what is it about Snowpepens that are attractive to you?
I mean, I think, first of all, the fact that there's just 80 supply for a Snowfro piece, I think is just, you're just kind of vulnerable to that situation where Flamingo DAO comes in and sweeps. You know, I mean, Flamingo DAO has swept a lot of art before, and that's really moved prices here. If they were to sweep 10, you know, that's a real supply shock there. Secondly, I think there are people who really like owning Snowfro work, you know, and who want to own what he has. And, you know, if you like Snowfro work, this is a very cool iteration of the Chromie Squiggle. I think like a lot of it's new, it's novel, it looks different. And I also think what he said was really compelling about how, you know, working with Jack Butcher, being one of the 200 artists who create art for the Snowpepens series could over time, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, I believe, but that could over time, like the Web3 native kind of museum type things could over time maintain value. So I don't know. I just feel like I've always liked Jack. I haven't owned an Snowpepens before. I haven't really owned Jack's work. So it kind of feels like a way to do both. And then I think the last point is I really love the art. And I'm not nuts about the normals. I wish the normals had more color. But when you're looking at the ribs, the slinkies, the fuzzies, I just think the art looks awesome. Yeah. So you put it all together, and I was like, oh, this could be an interesting thing to take a stab at, although I haven't bought any to this.
Can I add a mind-blowing stat here? You ready for this? Ahead. There's 80 of them. You mentioned that. 27 have sold on secondary for 120 ETH. That's wild.
Wow. Yeah. Insane.
It's kind of surprising how that like that to when I hear that, I'm thinking, wow, like 30% have already sold. That's actually a pretty big number that have already sold. But I think like Snowpepens is a lottery, right? Like, you know that if you flip a Snowfro and you get selected as one of the people who gets to own a Snowfro, like that you are going to have free money in your hands. So yeah, I think you have to kind of filter out those flippers at first, those people who don't view Snowfro the way we do, who don't view the Squiggle the way we do, who just want the free money. And you move those folks out, you get into longer term holders, and there's just not a whole lot of supply to go around.
I definitely love that. All the different mechanics that come with Snowpepens keep it really fun. You know, there's a lot of different stages in which you can get some anxiety about whether or not you're going to get something, what it's worth, how long it's going to last in terms of like, you know, the price appreciation, all of that stuff. But I think it's so fun. It's so perfectly Web3, collaborative, all of that stuff. It's, again, like you mentioned, it's really kind of cool to see Snowfro not only coming in for the big organizations like AMOMA and these sort of bigger ones that the rest of the world would really kind of care about, but he's also coming in and making sure that he leaves his mark with the very like purely Web3 teams. And I think that's just incredible to see. We are talking already about, we see some comments here about the XCOPY drop. I think there's a lot of people who have some opinions, so I'd love to kind of bring bring that into it when we're speaking of like, these Web3 goats, these artist goats in the house. Mao, can you pull up this one? Maybe we can kind of start with this and lean into this topic. Can you pull up the Mike Elf comment? He says, "Hi guys, can we talk a little bit about X? X seems to be almost jumping the shark. I love X and I know that he's the GOAT, but seems derivative and uninspired. Just my opinion, but I take one for sure." Yeah,
I love the hot take, Mike. Let's go.
That's a hot take. Let's go.
Yeah,
Who wants to take that one? Yeah, Sam.
Okay, sorry. No, I mean, it's interesting stuff right here. Like one thing I'm always intrigued by in the space is what does an individual piece of art, like what are the ways that it can get the most value? And we've kind of been watching over the past year, or certainly year to date, that the one-of-ones from XCOPY from 2 years ago, from 1 year ago, like the one-of-ones that have dropped have kind of gone into the 150s, high 100s ETH of value. Here you took, at least with the Algo Bro, you took one piece and you divided it into 42 editions, and he only made 84 ETH off it. But the value of that one piece of art that is in 42 editions is up in the, it's up in the high 300s, low 400s. So I'm kind of intrigued by that idea that, does splitting up this art the way it did lead to a lot higher value for these pieces? I mean, if you actually look at the remnants, and the remnants were all unique, but at a 60th floor times 250, I mean, that's a 1,500 ETH value work of art. Obviously, again, it's a little different because you have all these different iterations of the piece. But overall, I find like that quite interesting, how through the editions format, this art has really taken on a much higher amount of value. And I can't tell if that's just like the halo that we give to new mints, where right out of the gate, things get a ton of value, or if there's something special about the Algo Bro kind of piece or the remnants piece that made them higher value over the long term. If there's something about supply demand dynamics just for editions that make things different. But that's certainly something on my mind. Roger, you are certainly an XCOPY expert of sorts. What do you think here? What do you think of these two pieces, and how do you kind of think about that relative to work he's done in the past?
I like the Algo Bro example. Let's start there. So first of all, an edition count, you have to factor in at least a little bit of a premium. Some people would say 2x, but to your point, there's still more value than that being expressed here. You also have the fully on-chain element. First ever fully on-chain XCOPY, new contract, fresh hell. That's interesting. So maybe that's an additional premium. I think people are figuring that out right now. It is still only a 42 edition count. I know they're technically the same artwork, but it does have a lot going for it. So let's kind of see where that lands over time. I think ultimately right now, it seems like it'll settle in the 8 ETH-ish range. And then the remnant side, I'm still wrapping my head around that one real time. X released a great interview on NFT Now with Matt Medved, talked about how, grifters were random outputs, remnants were chosen outputs. I thought that was interesting. So he really leaned into this idea that he curated them and then quote unquote degraded them a little bit further. So I'm still wrapping my head around it. I think the market is too. Right now, the spread's 6 and 8, meaning 8 ETH list, 6 ETH offer. Let's see where that one settles.
What do you mean by degraded? Is that in the sense of trying to make it glitchier, or is it trying to be like, I want to kind of nerf this piece a little bit relative to my other work? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, that's up to X, right? I'm still wrapping my head around it, but I would assume exactly what you said. Make it a little bit glitchier, take it a little bit away from the curated initial concept. But I'm going back there. I'm going to spend more time with that collection today.
Sweet. Eli, what's been your kind of read on the world of XCOPY this week? Kind of is, I mean, he's always a little bit present, but it feels like we've really gotten a lot of X over the past week or two.
Yeah, there's a couple things. I think one is he released Algo Bro maybe a week ago, right? And so that was, to me, one way that he was demonstrating that he was taking care of his existing collectors prior to doing this larger release. And you needed to hold, I think, a max pain to get access to the Algo Bro raffle. So he's obviously very thoughtful about supply and his existing collectors. So I liked that element of it. And then I think the piece that Mike Elf is sort of alluding to does speak to this broader conversation that Matt Kane really teased out around the Rarepass and the obligation that these artists had to produce 250 unique pieces. And by extension, how would they do that in a way that was authentic to them and, still gave collectors something that they were very excited to receive. So, I think the what we see with the remnants makes sense in that context, in that it's abstract. The differences between each piece are evident, but still subtle. And so I think X found a way to sort of toe that line pretty effectively here. And then the last thing I'd mention is, I think with the Rarepass now sort of concluding, at least for the first season of that pass concluding, and I'm not sure what follows, if anything. The thing I'm probably most struck by, and this is a bit more sort of the way that I think about things in the space broadly, is that they started supporting artists in 2018. This is now 5 years later, where those artists, many of whom were participating in those early days, are demonstrating their appreciation, I think, in many ways, for the work that Super Rare did over that period of time, over those 5 years. And so the thing that I take away for us at Proof is, relationships are built over many months and many years. And it just sort of a kudos to Super Rare. And, Roger, as the founder of Artifacts, that, you've experienced this over many, many years as well, like building those very durable relationships. And then when the time is right, finding opportunities to release work with artists is just something sort of personally I take away from the whole Rarepass experience.
Roger, how's your review of the Rarepass kind of evolved over the past couple of drops? I mean, obviously the Matt Kane one was, it kind of created there. Suddenly there was a controversy around the Rarepass that I don't think we even knew existed 2 or 3 months ago. And then I have the comments saying that there's some jumping the shark going on here. But curious, what's your take been overall on this pass? It's clearly been a really unique piece in the digital art world.
Macro level, they smash the pass, right? I think there's a lot of other factors that people will bring up, but if you simply evaluate the first season or the first expression of this pass from the first inception to this XCOPY release, they really did smash it. You can't take that away from them. And I think it's important that we give them that credit. And then, maybe that is the segue into Matt Kane, because the other topic of interest here is there was some controversy, right? Where maybe not every artist felt exactly the same way. I think we're still finding out real time how Matt Kane feels, but XCOPY was very complimentary. In that same interview I alluded to earlier, he went in on how Super Rare gave him a monstrous opportunity when no one else saw the level of his artwork. He had a Tumblr following, but again, not that respect level. They gave it to him. They changed his career. He wants them to continue changing others.
Totally. No, it's been, I like to look at the numbers behind how these passes have done for collectors. And because for me, how collectors are doing is very, very important. I think we talk a lot about how artists are doing, but we need collectors to be doing well. We need collectors to be making money, to want to stick around in the space, to be advocates for the space. And the Super Rare Pass, minted at 17.25 ETH. And if you look at all the art that they've gotten from Peter Van Arman, from the contractual obligation was very successful now in XCOPY, like you've made well over the 17.25 just in the floor price of everything that's out there now. Plus, you've had the chance at winning, 3 1-of-1s from Sam Spratt, from other artists. The OSF drop has done really well. So overall, it's been incredibly successful. And I think what you're saying is right, Roger. It's just, people remember the people who helped them. People remember the groups that helped them get where they were, and it has led to this having an opportunity to do well because artists really wanted to support it. Amanda, anything we're seeing from the comments, or any thoughts that you want to throw in on this topic? And then we'll jump into the Matt Kane evolution, which has gotten kind of crazy.
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry about that. I said, yeah, I think I'm down to kind of talk a little bit more about even just Matt Kane and about the Rarepass thing. I think obviously you're seeing when it comes to at least floor price, right? Because this was the last announced drop, the Rarepass itself has dipped, and that sort of price has sort of just moved over to the XCOPY drop. So it's almost kind of like pretty much the same. And so I think it'll be interesting to see if they end up doing another season, if if they felt it was good enough of a reason to do another one or not. So I think that'll be kind of interesting to just see. I don't see too many other comments. I think let's just jump right into to what Matt Kane's doing. Yeah. Let's
do it. So Roger, why don't you give us the update? Because I've been trying to figure it out. I've been reading your work to try to figure it out. I mean, we have this whole, bread and butter and other interesting things from Matt, where they had to make a donation to a museum. Can you give us the quick TLDR 1-minute version of what exactly evolved this week?
Matt Kane has done a lot, and I think it's important we can rally the conversation around some specifics. Okay, so the stewardship piece to the Museum of Crypto, I think, is the most interesting part that we can sink our teeth into. So the first decision collectors had to make, Matt Kane said essentially, if you would like to be part of Act 2, quote unquote Act 2, he is the Andy Kaufman of the NFT space now, after all, which we love. So if you want to be part of Act 2, you essentially have to send your contractual obligations to the Museum of Crypto wallet, not just one wallet, but one of 3 wallets, past, present, and future. So 71 collectors chose the future, 46 chose the present, 44 chose the past, and then on we go. And Matt Kane, I believe yesterday, came out with his next step. And he says, for those who have entered Act 2, you have now received a quote unquote bake poster in your wallet, right? So milk and cookies, again, another performance art reference there, another allusion to possibly Kaufman. Comes to the forefront here. So you essentially now have another choice to make on chain. And he's making this very clear that that choice in your decision tree of choices may or may not be important. So these bake posters, quote unquote, brought to you by the American cookie dough, you now have to make a choice of past, present, or future. For those posters, that's Act 2.
And what's your general take here? What would you be doing as a collector who wants to optimize for value here? I mean, right now there are only 87 of the contractual obligations left. You know, perhaps that there's a lot of lore, a lot of conversation around that. Do you think you hold on to that piece because it is kind of has some provenance already at this point because of the narrative? Would you be getting a past, a present, or future? What would you be doing, Roger, Eli, Amanda, if you had if you were in this position here?
Real quick, give you one fun fact from the contractual obligation. So even that, people are figuring that out real time, what to do. There was a collector who accepted a 2 ETH offer, and then a day later, another collector bought the same piece for 5 ETH. So people don't know what the heck to do with those pieces. What I would be doing is trusting Matt Kane. That's the word of the day for me, is trust. I've been saying this in the streets. Eli, you said Super Rare goes back to 2018. Matt Kane goes back all the way. Vouch for artist royalties from the beginning. People who do go back to that era with him understand that he's incredibly in the top tier of detail orientation among artists. I'd be playing the game. I would be having fun playing the game, trusting Matt Kane, taking step after step, and essentially following as many acts as he'll lay out.
Sam, how many of those NFTs actually were transferred into one of those 3 wallets? Do you know?
87 were not. So it sounds like, or 83
wow.
were not. So 167 were transferred. It sounds like people like the future more than the present, and the present more than the past. So we have an optimistic group of people who are collecting his art. But only 83 left, I believe, around that.
That's pretty amazing, right? I mean, you said the floor on those was something to the effect of 4 or 5, I think.
It's like 5.5, but only 2 are listed. I mean, there are only 83 left. 2 of them are listed. I mean, I shouldn't say left because it's not like they were burned.
Yeah.
And yeah, the bids maybe at like 2.58.
Yeah. So I'm going to double click into Roger's point around trust. I mean, for that many collectors really en masse of that collection to send those NFTs that they could perhaps have sold for 3, 4, 5 ETH to a crypto native, decentralized institution, so to speak, I think is pretty fascinating. And that Matt has found a way to incentivize that behavior through trust, primarily in him and his creative mind and ability to deliver, is quite fascinating. You know, we've seen, as you mentioned earlier, Sam, an increasing emphasis from artists in our space to appease and appeal to traditional institutions, traditional art museums, and MoCA, the Museum of Crypto Art, led by Colburn and others, is really this disruptive entity that is doing things in a wholly different way. And as a collector, for a moment, that's very exciting to me. And so Matt finding ways to drive energy back to MoCA and really subvert some of these traditional institutions, or maybe not subvert, but sort of exist in parallel to those traditional institutions is very, very cool to me.
I mean, it's an incredible thing. Like when I heard this, I was like, he's basically saying, donate this thing you own that you could exchange for $5,000 without blinking. Donate it, just send it to an address and trust me, you know? And not only did 2/3 of the people do, I mean, I'm almost surprised that 2/3 of the people were paying attention. because we see all the time that, you know, with it, when any drop happens, a lot of people just take the free money, or I shouldn't, that was the wrong word. A lot of people just have it in their wallet and then aren't on Twitter, aren't paying attention, aren't on X. Here, 2/3 of the people, which is probably like 80%, 90% of people who were paying attention, said, okay, fine, I'll make this donation and I'm just going to trust you to reward me for it. And I think it speaks a little bit to the collectors who are in the super rare pass, right? Like these are people who really, you know, who are really familiar with who they're dealing with and who really kind of believe in the artist. But I was at first really shocked, just because that's a lot of money to be willing to, you know, in your wallet that no one else can do anything with, and bids are on OpenSea, and people did it. So interesting stuff there. And
I think, yeah, I think I just have a couple of things to say about that. I think it's interesting to see, you know, the fact that ultimately this whole campaign, this whole drop itself has had people, you know, really, really dialed in and wanting to watch what Matt Kane's next move is. You know, this is probably the third show that we've talked about Matt Kane. So I think you can kind of tell that everyone's attention is on him. So I think that says a lot about the space, especially at a bear market. To be able to capture attention in a bear market is huge. So I think that's already a big success. I think it's interesting. We have a comment here from Ryan that says, was this work planned or in reaction to the FUD that contractual obligations received, right? So I think that it almost doesn't really matter, right? I think maybe you're getting some people wanting to play the game because, you know, maybe they were disappointed with the first drop, and they're hoping to get, if they continue to play along, they end up getting, you know, the Matt Kane that they're expecting or something. And I think that ultimately this is still something that is going to be interesting to see what ends up happening, how these people end up getting either rewarded or whatever, right? Like, I think it will be something that we'll still be watching throughout the end to just see, you know, what is this going to all kind of play out to.
We got the side profile of Eli.
You
look like those grufters. You look like Eli the grufter is awesome. The only thing I'll throw in,
philosophizing over there. He was just that's what you think.
Yeah, let me share that thought. I was deep in thought about. So,
no, it's okay.
Yeah, I was just thinking very, very quickly. You know, like what Matt is doing here is such a interesting and unique use case for this medium and this technology, right? I mean, it is, in what other world could you have this type of performance art experience? You couldn't, right? In this same way. And so, you know, we've seen different fun sort of game theory mechanics and burns and other things, but the speed and the storytelling and the performance with what Matt is doing here is in many ways sort of purpose built for this technology. And no surprise, because Matt is such a deep thinker and has been engaged with this medium for so long. But I was just reflecting on that when you caught me in the profile view.
And the last thing I'll just throw on is I think he did also, he went in moving this to these three NFTs, these three pieces of art where we are right now, they all entered into his technology, into his software, where he zooms in on the details and kind of takes it through that. I think the piece you had before looked so different from everything else he had done, the AI art he created. And here you at least get to combine AI art with the Matt Kane look and feel that we're used to, and that's so consistent through his work. And that was quite cool. But I think we got to wrap up this topic. I do want, before we wrap up, because we wanted to make it a 30-minute show. We're going to shoot for less than like 36 minutes. But I do want to give Eli a chance, because Eli, I'm curious. Big announcement from Proof this week. We're, working with 5 artists, some drops that are coming up. What can we expect? Give us the alpha. Let's hear what's going on.
Let me think about this for a moment.
Yeah, lean in.
We got the grufters.
Yeah. No, so I appreciate them. So we announced this week our sort of proof curated fall winter exhibition series. 5 amazing artists: Helena Saren, Herbert Franke, and that one is in collaboration with Expanded Art and his foundation, and then Otherworld, Summer Wagner, and Craig Mullins. So 4 of those 5 artists we've released work with previously in our exhibitions and in Grails. And these will all be solo exhibitions, solo releases. Very excited. I mean, I'm thrilled with the quality and caliber of artists we have here. And It's going to be an exciting and very busy end of year into the new year.
Otherworld's saying this is like the biggest thing he's ever done. Give us some alpha here. What is, so this isn't just another drop here. This is something really crazy coming. What's the story?
Yeah. What can I say? Let's see. You're the exact same as Stevie or Amanda when we do these calls, and she's digging for alpha and specifics. What I will say is that Otherworld's project blends a one-of-one piece with a collector experience where the collector has some agency that affects the one-of-one in a very interesting way. So without giving away too much, that alludes to some of the interesting things that are upcoming there. But all 5 releases, very excited about. Helena Sarens has this very beautiful physical ceramic component with each of the NFTs that are a part of that collection. And that is the first one upcoming November 15th. So very excited about all of them. And as I said, it will be a very busy end of year, and thrilled to get to do that.
All right, Eli, there are calls for you to walk. I'm going to let you go prep for that. So you're going to have to do the walk. We're going to move the camera back to you. But first, I want to go to Roger. And just Roger, I think anybody who's listening can tell that your knowledge of the space is historic and up to speed at the same time, and very, very deep. Where can people who want more Roger get more Roger? I'm on your newsletter, which I love, but what do you want people to do? Follow you on Twitter? What's the best way to get more of your information?
Let's do Twitter X. I appreciate the platform. Churning out reports Tuesday through Saturday, or 24 hours of art report. And then we come back Monday for the full 48, recapping Saturday and Sunday as well together. So I think interact every single day. Love the community that's really developing around this. Run the spaces on Monday as well as Thursday. And so join me there, and just excited again. Thank you all. It was fun to hang out with the Proof team, do it professionally, pre-production and everything. Just very impressed in general.
Cool. Well,
Roger, please come back. Please come back.
Yeah, come back. And those posts are so valuable, man. They're great. So I appreciate the work you're doing.
Yeah, love it.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff. akaStevey, thank you for coming on. Thanks for guiding us through the community conversation.
Of course. Are we gonna close out with Eli just doing a little walk for the crew?
I thought he was I was like, Eli, the camera's not on you. You can go back and give us a walk, but it looks like
a walk.
You know what? The secret is I have shorts on, so there's no way I'm doing that.
Fair enough.
No, you have no pants on. We get it. We're going to save it for the actual Grails, which is coming at the end of the year.
Yeah.
We'll save that walk for the shoot. All right. No worries.
The moral of the story is if you're coming on a podcast, get the pants on. We got to be ready.
Wear pants.
All right.
Wear pants.
All right. Thanks,
Roger. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Thanks to Mao
Thank you guys.
and to CT in the background who've been helping out, and Gabby as well. So thanks, everybody.
You're the best.
See you guys.
Thank you, RD. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, RD. Bye.